Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. You know, when we look at massive refineries, chemical plants, or power stations, it's super easy to just be totally awed by their sheer scale. But the real core of how these facilities actually function safely, well, that comes down to some highly precise equipment working quietly behind the scenes. So today, we are going on a journey right into the hidden mechanics of industrial infrastructure, diving deep into the operation, maintenance, and troubleshooting of control valves. Let's get into it.
Think about this for a second. What actually keeps these colossal plants from just spiraling completely out of control? We are talking about systems handling incredibly volatile gases and pressures that can easily exceed thousands of psi. Without exact pinpoint regulation, the villain of our story takes over. You get catastrophic leaks, equipment failure, or, much worse. The absolute unsung hero regulating this chaos day in and day out is the control valve.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap for today. We're going to move from anatomy right through to action, starting with the basics of control valves, then key components and actuators. Next, we'll look at valve characteristics, maintenance and calibration procedures, and finally, troubleshooting and safety practices.
All right, Section 1, the basics of control valves. Let's lay down the foundational knowledge here and see what these things actually are.
At its core, a control valve is the primary final control element in an industrial process loop. But to really picture it, think of it exactly like the valves in your own heart. If the fluid or gas is the blood, and the piping is the veins, the control valve is the heart, regulating the pressure. Instead of just flipping a switch on or off, it continuously modulates. It reacts to signals from a control system to throttle that flow, maintaining incredibly precise set points for pressure, temperature, or level, which literally keeps the entire process stable and alive.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it turns a static concept into this highly active, responsive process. It's a real-time feedback loop. Step 1, a controller senses something's off and sends a signal. Step 2, the actuator, which is basically the muscle of the whole operation, receives that signal and physically engages. And Step 3, the internal geometry actually changes, instantly adjusting the flow to correct the process. It's happening constantly.
Moving right along to Section 2, key components and actuators. Let's zoom in on the microanatomy of a valve.
Imagine we're walking right onto the plant floor and taking one of these apart. First, you've got the body, which is this heavy, tough, pressure-retaining shell. Inside is the trim. These are the core parts actually touching the fluid. The bonnet seals the whole assembly up tight, while the stem acts as the bridge connecting the actuator to the inner valve. And finally, the seat. This is where the moving part seals to totally shut off flow, and it's machined to insanely strict tolerances to meet specific leakage classifications.
Now, driving that trim is the actuator. It really comes down to a choice of power. On one hand, you have pneumatic actuators, which use compressed air. They are incredibly fast, and this is a real game changer. They can be equipped with heavy mechanical springs to fail-safe, meaning they just snap completely open or shut if the plant ever loses power. On the other hand, electric actuators use motors. While they might not have that instant snap action, they offer absolutely unparalleled, steady precision for really complex modulating control.
Okay, Section 3, understanding valve characteristics. Let's look at how flow behaves dynamically.
A valve opens according to a very specific flow characteristic. Linear is exactly what it sounds like. Flow capacity increases directly with valve travel. So 50% open equals 50% flow. Simple, right? Then there's equal percentage, which gives an exponential flow increase. This is actually the most common one because it perfectly compensates for nonlinear pressure drops in piping systems. Finally, quick opening gives you maximum flow immediately upon cracking open, which is perfect for safety relief or basic on-off batching. So the crucial point is, you absolutely have to choose the right characteristic for your specific process.
Let's transition to Section 4, maintenance and calibration procedures. This is all about the practical side of keeping these critical industrial heart valves alive and kicking.
Preventative maintenance is literally the bread and butter of plant reliability. Step into the daily life of a maintenance tech. You've got to regularly inspect the body for microleaks. You have to ensure the stem is lubricated so it doesn't stick, a problem we call stiction. If you're running pneumatics, verifying a clean, dry air supply is an absolute must. And of course, monitoring the stem packing is vital to stop fugitive emissions of volatile gases from leaking into the atmosphere. But physical maintenance isn't enough. It has to be paired with calibration and stroke testing. This is the difference between a smoothly running plant and a catastrophic shutdown. You're commanding the valve across its full travel to make sure it moves smoothly without lagging. Think about it. If the control system commands 45% open, but a poorly calibrated positioner only gets it to 42%, that tiny gap, that hysteresis, can completely throw off a sensitive chemical reaction. This isn't just a box to check. It is a vital lifeline protecting product quality and plant uptime.
And that brings us to our final stop, Section 5, Troubleshooting and Safety Practices. How do we fix things when they go wrong and keep everyone safe?
When issues pop up, technicians rely on methodical logic, and this brilliantly illustrates how to troubleshoot common problems systematically. It's a quick visual cheat sheet. If a valve just won't open, your first step is verifying the motive force. Is the air or electrical supply to the actuator actually working? If fluid is leaking around the stem, you probably need to tighten the packing nuts or replace the packing entirely. And if the valve is stuttering or moving erratically, the fix almost always lies in recalibrating or rebuilding the smart positioner.
Now, before anyone even thinks about turning a wrench, strict safety protocols are non-negotiable. We are dealing with the intense reality of industrial pressures here. Lines must be completely isolated and depressurized to prevent any sudden, dangerous energy release. Technicians absolutely must use the proper PPE, and above all else, strict lockout/tagout procedures have to be verified. You have to physically secure energy sources so the system cannot accidentally be energized while someone is exposed. We've covered a lot of ground today, tracing the path from core valve anatomy and flow characteristics right through to the intense rigors of calibration and safety. So, I'll leave you with this. The next time you drive past a massive industrial plant lit up against the night sky, ask yourself, are its unseen heart valves beating smoothly? Think about those thousands of highly calibrated control loops operating silently in the dark to keep our modern world running safely. Thank you so much for joining me in this explainer. Stay curious and keep exploring the incredible systems around us.
A control valve receives a control signal. It moves the actuator and valve stem, adjusts the valve opening, and precisely regulates fluid flow to maintain the desired process conditions.